Hello and welcome to this Geekatplay Vue tutorial. In this tutorial, we will create some materials that are similar to some of the materials that we have in our building construction kit. These are complex multi-layer and there's some mixed materials, and we'll try to recreate 3 of them, and after we'll apply them to a building so we'll end up with a final scene and see how those materials look in a finished project. And we'll begin by creating a cube, and this is our test ground for the materials so we can see how they'll look. Let's edit materials by double time clicking or right click and select edit materials. Then we have our advanced material editor. If for some reason you start like this in the basic, just click on advanced so you can go into the advanced menu. It will provide a few more options for you, and be sure that the object here says object parametric, and we'll assign that to this. And this is our base layer, so we'll double time click and we'll change to the brick wall. This is a basic texture that comes with Vue. Let's add an additional layer now, and this layer, what I did was I actually just took moss from the rock, and it was mixed materials, so I separated them out and then took the moss for use and separated and saved it. So we're just going to go in here now and open it, and here it is, this moss that I saved before, and if you boost it up you can get a better look at it. Okay, let's edit function for this one. So now what we need to do for this is add transparency. Let's click on that tab and we'll go into the fractal node and we'll add fractal. I'm just going to make this window smaller so we can see it all the way. This is a basic repeater. We can also go to the simple fractal if you want. Actually, probably that option, simple fractal is better for us now. Then here we'll reduce the largest feature, and let's increase the roughness and gain so we have more separation. Also, if you want to do more, you can go to the edit filter and add a new key point. And if you notice right here, we are already affecting this, showing how much of the black, the moss that we want here. And also, if you notice in this window, you can see how it modifies this. So you have more moss or less. It just depends on how you like it. So when you're done, let's say we like how this looks. Now let's reduce the alpha boost. Alpha boost is how it overlays, and we want a little bit less to make a more natural look with this. Also, when we are in this, let's go click on our environment and let's reduce the altitude range so that it will be more located on more like on the bottom of the rocks. And we can make it draw up if we want, but for this we won't do that. So we'll just increase the fuzziness so it's a little bit smoother on the edge, and also the range of altitude. Here is what is interesting about this. By the object, it means the altitude will depend on the material. It means it will take the whole object and take the same material and base it by that. Sometimes it's nice when you have a material with different objects and you want to apply the same materials on all the other objects. And absolute is for your entire environment, of course. So we'll make sure this object parametric is set and it will apply a little better, and I think this one has almost everything as we want it. But let's now add a top layer, so we'll go here and add another layer, and we'll just select default now. And as default, let's right click on the color here to edit the color, and we'll just add a couple of points. Let's add, well, what I'm doing here is I'm just creating a kind of a mixed stucco looking texture. So we'll add and create our own material color mixing. Let's right click edit function, so we'll go to our function editor, and actually we'll delete these default filters and we'll highlight this position up here. And again, we'll refer to the fractal node, clicking, and we need to create a fractal node. Okay, let's bring this down a little bit so we can see all of them. And all that we need to do is just connect between both of them. And the fractal node, let's create a little bit of coloring. Okay, so now we'll preview it here. And now also we'll go to the transparency tab and we'll add another fractal node to this one. And it's actually very similar to what we did before with the moss. We'll decrease our largest feature and increase the gain and roughness. So this will give us sharper borders. Let's go to Edit Filter and create a new key point and make it drag a little bit darker this way to have more. We can also creep in kind of. That removes the diffuse parts here, but we want to leave those in for now. And also, if you want, you can modify it by the bump, but in this case we'll just go with adding the noise node, and the noise node will just reduce it slightly so it just looks kind of gritty here. And let's increase it right here. And let's go to bumps and drop it down so there's something slightly there. And also, when we're on this material, let's do a couple things. Edit filter, and I just don't want so much noise there, so we'll decrease some of them. We'll leave just a few small ones out right here. Highlights, let's bring them a little bit down so it looks a little more like paint. Also, in the colors, if you want, you can add a key point and play around with the filters so you don't have such monotonous colors. And the environment will just take off from the bottom range, so it'll go to the top more and increase the fuzziness just slightly. Actually, we don't want too much. And for this material, let's go to render to screen and let's see how our material will look. So you can see it's already kind of interesting. Also, another thing that does help, go to default material. Let's go back to edit function, and right here instead of this one, let's remove it. We'll click on our fractal, we'll copy, and we'll paste. Actually, there it pasted in the wrong place, so let's remove it and go here and paste it, and let's connect it so they look exactly the same. In that case, when we go to this one and increase it, they will look more realistic. Okay, let's go ahead now and preview it one more time to see what we have. So here you can see we have a wall of stucco and some moss here. This is maybe too much moss by just a little bit, so we can just go decrease the amount. So we'll go to our grass and edit. We'll go to edit the filter and decrease the amount here. So we decrease it there. And we'll go to environment and drop it down here. Let's go now here and maybe decrease this as well. And let's also decrease the amount of stucco. So it will be just a little bit less. Also, one interesting thing, if we go on this one and edit and we decrease it here a little bit more, so we have kind of an interesting stepping in our texture. Okay, so now we're done with both of them, and our global grass, maybe we're decreasing it a little bit more, and our roughness, we'll maybe decrease that as well. And here's our preview. we can actually set colors on the edge if we want, but let's leave it like this. So now in our preview, this is already looking a little different. There's some dirt on top and we have moss going on the bottom. We can maybe around the edges, we can round them out, those edges a little bit, and let's try and see what we'll get. So we'll go to the environment and let's go all the way, almost all the way, and see how they mix. And this is actually nice because in that case you can see with the moss how they will interact and how the stucco will overlay the moss. And you can see here that this creates a nice effect. And at this point you can see that you can spend a lot of time playing around with this, and this is what we did with our construction kit. We spent a lot of time to create nice looking materials. And when you're done with this material, let's right now save it so we can use it in the future. And of course we need, this is object parametric, and we'll click right here and let's save it. Well, but look here, it's a default, and that means we are working only with that default layer. The problem is if you have this one selected and you try to save it, it's just that layer. It can be useful if you want to replicate the layers, but if you want to save all the materials, be sure you're on the global. So we'll click save and we'll save this as a brick wall. Okay. And let's now go to create another material. Since we're done with this brick wall right now, we may want to fiddle with it a little afterwards just to make it look a little more interesting. But for now, let's open basic. And right now what we're going to do is create another interesting material. So we'll select the default again. And let's edit the color map. And we'll just add new keys. And what we'll do is we'll add it a little bit darker. Let's modify this color. And sometimes it's very useful if we add some reference. What I'm trying to do is make it kind of metallic looking for this color. Edit function. And we can actually leave it as is, or we can modify it. We'll see in the future what we're going to do. We'll go to transparency for now, and we'll add a noise node. With the noise node, we'll select the line patterns, and there we'll select the fabric. And actually, you know what? Let's select lines. That, I think, will work better for us. Also, one thing we need to do, you notice here that they're very fuzzy, so we'll select this node and we'll click on the filter, and inside the filter we'll add a couple of points, and if you put them like this, it will make a more hard edge, a harder edge. So this is saying that I want just this and this color, and it will cut them very hard. Also, small lines are going here, but this is very thick. Another thing we can do, let's take another filter and bring it here. And instead, in this filter, we're going to select opposite. What it does is just invert it for us. It looks more like some wires now. Okay, now let's go on the bump and create another node as well. And one nice thing is that it will kind of duplicate our settings, so it looks similar. Let's click OK, and another thing we want to do as well, let's go to our reflections and edit. So we have some reflection here, and also in reflections you'll notice we have this glowing around here, and to fix this we select a node and we add our filter, and similar to what we did before, we kind of cut the intermediate colors off. So you can kind of modify so you can see how much reflection you want. and we'll adjust it a little bit this way so we don't have this fuzziness. So we're done at this point, and we can modify the map with a color change, but I like how those are for now. And of course we can decrease the global reflectivity a little bit. Let's go to highlights and bring those down, and bring the intensity up and make this dull, and in effects we'll make this less diffuse and a little bit darker. And this will be our underlaying material. So you don't necessarily need to have it solid. You can make it a transparent material. We'll decrease the scale so the mesh will look smaller now. And at this point, let's add another layer. We'll just make it a default. And if you boost it up, you can see that it's kind of covering everything. And let's right now edit, and we'll go to transparency, and we'll add a fractal node to this. Let's decrease the largest, and again up to max with the roughness and grain. And you can see already how it's nicely overlaying this. Okay. Now we'll edit our filter. So we're kind of overlaying. And you can see how it's already very nicely set up right there. And while we have it selected, let's copy this one. Go to the bump map, highlight it, and let's place it right here. So it is a little bit too rough for us. So to make it a little bit smoother, we can actually decrease the depth in the bump here to about 0.05, I think. And it still looks a little bit rough. So if you want, you can even adjust this one. You can go here and make it less. Okay, and now let's go preview what we have. And this is kind of an interesting material. You can see the stucco or paper mache stuff going over these wires. You can select this one now, reduce the scale even more, so it'll be a smaller wire mesh, and we can add an additional material if we want. But for now, let's just go here and edit the color. Let's select maybe stone gray. This one, edit function, and we'll delete these filters and just paste in our node select position and connect to this one. So our colors now will go like this along the same lines as our material. And right now what we need to do is make it a little bit softer. So the color change will go on the edges as well. And when we preview it this way, you'll see the colors are changing here, just on the edge. And this is our other material. And again, when we are done, we'll go on the top right here, click save, and we'll save this as a firewall. Burned out, maybe. So this is the second material now that we have created. And now let's just go on to our third material. And after this, we'll start applying them. So again, we reset to the default material. Now I want to create some stucco. So let's go right here and edit our color map. We'll just set it maybe to something kind of oldish looking. And the one thing I always do is I have some reference pictures. And this can be kind of a nice help for you if you have them. And also to speed it up, you don't need to just go click new. You can double time click, so it will create it for you. And this is our color map for the underlayer. And we'll go edit, and we can delete these ones. We'll go right here, and let's create a fractal node right now. So we'll connect these two. Okay. And we want to increase the roughness a little bit. So in here, the preview, you can see that it is a little bit discolored. And in bump, we can go create another fractal in this one. And we can decrease this so the texture will be fine. And if you look at a quick render, it's already an interesting looking material by itself. So now let's reduce our depth here a little bit so it won't look too rough. And let's add another layer, the same default basic. And for this one, the first here is our underlaying. For this, it will be our stucco. So we'll start again editing our color, and you know what? I want to have something worn out. At one point it was kind of a reddish stucco. So this is our color. And let's create another key point. Click the same color, and right here, maybe we'll create one more. And let's take this one and edit it so it's kind of yellowish looking, faded and worn out. And this is the color of our stucco, so let's go ahead and press OK. At this point, let's go right click and edit function. And we're deleting those nodes. And let's create a fractal node. And this one will connect. Okay, and this is the same as our color distribution. We'll probably change it in the future, but for now, I want to see what this will do. And transparency, the same, will create a fractal node, and we'll reduce the features, and we'll just change these. Very similar to what we did before. So we'll play around with this kind of here, just until we like it. Let's increase the creep in, so I'll remove details. So I think this is about what I'm going for now. At this point, we can preview it right here. So let's go to this one. We'll save it. And in here we'll paste it. And we'll take our bump and we'll connect it. And you can see what that does over here. Now we need to kind of discolor it. So let's remove this one. Let's paste this one over. And we'll remove this one, and we'll just connect these two up. And you can preview how the yellowish looks in here. And like before, you can reduce the roughness and gain a little bit. So we'll have a little more of the yellow color. And also in the filter as well. And if you want, you can go over here, modify it a little towards the yellow color. So at this point, we have some stucco that's worn out on the edges. And now here, in Alpha Boost, we can go all the way up to maximum. And we'll reduce this to 0.050 as well. And we'll take away that really rusted out look to give us more of a red lichen. That's pretty interesting. And here we can drop the peaks a little more. And here in our preview, we can see that maybe it's a little rougher than we want. This is why we need the bigger renders to preview our work as we're going. So we probably want to remove the top layer because I'm not sure I want it here. So, and that's why it's useful sometimes to save by layer. So if I go right here and just select just this layer, I can click save, and I can save it as a stucco layer. I've saved this one, and I add an additional layer, and I want to use just what we had before, so I just select it here, and you can see that I took only that layer. So that's a very useful option sometimes. Okay, let's delete those for now. I want to just do it from scratch, but I just wanted to show you how you can do that, how that worked. So we'll go right here and let's modify this color. So I'll have that similar reddish, kind of a pink girl's room. And this one, let's go to edit function. I'll just leave this. We'll go to transparency now, and we'll add our fractal node. These two are maximum, and where do I want this? Okay, let's edit this one, and let's make this go a little down so we have it kind of all dark. So we don't need a bump map for this because it will be kind of a little bit underlying. And we'll change this alpha boost, seeing what we're doing up here, and in this transparency. You know what, let's do one thing. Let's use our preview colors so we can actually see how they are overlaying each other. And let's also take alpha and connect it to our layer. And this is sometimes a little bit tricky to connect properly that way. And you can see now, see a little bit how these colors are overlaying each other. So let's go to this one. And maybe if we have a little too much. Okay, this will increase the details if we need it. And we'll just increase the larger features, and the smaller features don't affect us much in this case. And this is how it will look. And you can see how they blend here. And in our render, you can see how this is kind of a very worn out stucco. We could reduce the roughness a little bit more or add some things, but I think this will serve us well for now. So let's save this material, and we'll save this as stucco, spelled of course S-T-A-C-O, like we do on Planet Beltar. At this point, we have all our 3 materials done, so let's delete our cube and let's make the scenery from our buildings. The buildings we are using are from our construction kit, and one nice thing about that is that there are a lot of complete buildings. But we also have parts, and we'll use those here. And here we have our basic buildings, and we'll select this one for now. Go right there and drop it. Okay, and this is actually a building with no features at all, except that it is brick with the basic default brick. What we'll do with it is we'll use the texture we just created. And we'll apply our brick wall. And let's customize it now a little bit. And let's go to our grass. And let's decrease it a little bit so that it's not hard looking. And let's go up to this layer, and we'll also decrease the stucco a little bit so it looks more interesting. Bring it more just on the top. And increase the fuzziness to smooth it out a little bit more. And the grass is maybe too high. So there you go. And here's what we get now. And it already looks kind of nice. Kind of interesting. Okay, now one thing that we probably want to do is go to the grass and decrease the scale on it so it blends in with the rest better. It's all in the scale. So we'll just kind of get it where we want. And, you know, take the time to be careful with this. So here we have this mud splattered on top and the moss growing in the protected parts. And of course, you know, now you can go load an object and you can grab something like a roof, and we can put a roof on top. And we'll just get it right here, just right. And this is something that you may want to do. You can build these kinds of blocks yourself. So you can use them over and over and over again, or you can get them already created for you. And we made a whole bunch of them and put them in a pack available now on the Geekatplay website. And do whichever you like. And we'll bring in something else. Let's put these outside steps right here. And let's see what else we have here. And there's just a lot of things in here. We can go to pipes and we can grab a pipe also. It's kind of like a kid in a candy store with all of this kind of things that you can put in. And this is just kind of what we try to do with this pack. Okay. Let's select that corner and put this right here. And again, Alt-Control so we can duplicate it and put a second one right here. And already right now we can load an atmosphere, maybe. Let's see what we have here. Okay. And here, as our render for the first building, you can see with this lighting and the architecture we added on it. It already looks pretty cool right here. And we spent just a few seconds putting this together. Normally, we would spend more time. One nice thing, if you create your own add-ons to reuse them, are polygon counts. It takes a lot less polygons because you don't need to have anything that's on the back of the building. So let's move this building away right now. And we'll put it right here, and let's add a new one. So we'll go to Load Object, and we'll just go to our blocks, and let's select the construction kit. And this will be our first one. Drop it down. Let's select a second one. Again, one thing, you can create as many as you want. Okay, so right here you can use Smart Drop, or you can place it yourself. And again, we have different pieces, and you can just put another one on top of this, and you can go on and on. And we'll load something else, and let's see, we have these roofs. So let's maybe put the flat roof on top of this. They're all designed so you can scale them easily without distorting them. So, this will be kind of nice. Okay, so we have our one building done. And let's go to our main camera now and look a little bit closer so we can preview our building. Okay, so we have our building right here that we've aligned together, and let's right now apply our textures that we created before. And let's just go to the bottom one, and we'll go ahead and select our stucco, and let's select our wireframe one, our wire wall, so we can compare how they will look. And on the third floor, well, let's put a wire wall again on that one. So now we can see how all of them will look. And let's render this to take a look. And right here it's finished. But you already can see how this mud overlay is very interesting. Kind of eroded away, decayed here. And our stucco, we maybe want to decrease the scale a little bit. And also, we can take our camera and we'll come in a little bit closer to this building so we can see the material very close up. We've already switched here back to our basic work atmosphere just to bring out the details. And here you can see almost through the buildings. Of course, you can spend more time, as always. You can add additional alpha matte so the wires will be cut off. They aren't just perfect. You can add coloring to the wires to make them look rusty, and maybe an additional layer under there. And we do have those ones in the construction kit, so if you want, you can go look. And always, you can open up the materials to see how they are set up, so you can learn more about this. To finish this tutorial, let's just create our final image. Something that will look very interesting. And we'll just put the camera right here, and we'll go to our other building and move it a little bit closer now. Maybe decrease the size a little bit, like that. So now we're getting this looking pretty interesting as we move the camera here. But let's also load another object. Let's go through here. Actually, I think I want the cooling fan. And I'm just going to place it right here, right on the side here. And I always recommend spending some time to take your scenery and adjust it. See how it looks, adjust it some more, get it right, add more details. This is how you get something that looks good. And now in the atmosphere, we'll just load what we had before the invasion. And we can add some more lights inside, but I think this will do for now. We'll just adjust the atmosphere a bit. Okay, and here's our final image. We learned about texturing. We created 3 different textures, so now you can go and make some cool ones yourself for your buildings or some other constructions that you make. And think maybe about vines inside and leaves and creating bushes that way. And this is something that we will be talking about in our next tutorial. And thank you for watching this tutorial. Please visit us at www.geekatplay.com or www.vututorials.com.